There's something I want you to know. Right from the start, your allure has never disappeared with time. It's only changed the way it shows itself softer now, deeper, sometimes hidden in the quiet places you no longer notice. I've lived long enough to understand that men aren't drawn only by appearance. What makes them pause is the energy that radiates from a woman who knows who she is, who stands in her own peace, and carries herself with quiet confidence. It's in the way you look at someone honest, unguarded. It's in the tone of your voice, calm and steady. It's in how you walk into a room, not to be seen, but simply to be present. And science backs this up. In the first few seconds of seeing you, a man's brain begins reading countless signals. Your health, your emotions, your vitality. All the things that time can touch, but never erase. Today, I want to share with you 5 parts of a woman's body that men notice first. Not so you'll try to change yourself, but so you'll understand, appreciate, and begin to shine again. In the quiet, powerful way. Only a seasoned woman can. When a man looks at you, the first thing he truly notices isn't your face or your hair. It's your eyes. Not because they're still bright, or maybe not as clear as they once were, but because within them lies something time can never take away. Your story, your calm, and the kindness distilled through the years. I've lived long enough to see this truth again and again. Some women don't need to say a single word. Their eyes do all the talking, and that quiet gaze can stop someone in their tracks. It's not youth that draws people in. It's the energy behind the eyes. A spark of life, a sense of honesty, a feeling of being understood. In the eyes of a woman who's known loss, there's the light of compassion. In the eyes of a woman who's loved deeply, there's the warmth of forgiveness. Men might not be able to explain why they feel drawn in, but they feel it. Science calls it a subconscious reaction. Within the first few seconds of eye contact, a man's brain activates the parts that govern trust and emotion. It's not about the size or color of your eyes. It's about the truth they hold. Eyes that don't hide, don't try to prove anything, just quietly say, "I'm here." I once met a woman in her 70s who told me no one really looked at her anymore. But when she spoke, her eyes came alive. Slow, warm, and full of a quiet light from within. And in that moment, I understood why men still pause for eyes like hers. Because the eyes are where we find the truth, not about beauty, but about the person you've become. We can't stop the lines from forming at the corners of our eyes. Each one is a mark of sleepless nights for your children, of laughter that came from deep within, of tears shed, and the strength to rise again. When your eyes carry memory and gratitude, they hold a kind of beauty that can't be copied. The beauty of a soul that's lived and still longs to love and be loved. So don't look down. Don't turn away. Let your eyes meet the world again. Not to seek approval, but to say, "I'm still here, still living, still feeling, still open to connection." Because in a world that moves too fast, a woman's honest gaze is one of the rare things that brings a man peace. Men aren't searching for perfection. They're looking for truth, for tenderness, for that quiet sense of being understood. And all of it lives in your eyes. So when you look in the mirror, I don't just see the traces of time. Look closer. You'll see a woman who's weathered many seasons, still standing strong, still carrying in her eyes a light that makes others stop and take notice. Because your eyes, even when tired, are the beginning of every connection, and sometimes they're where a man finds his way back to his own heart. People often say that a woman's beauty isn't about her shape. It's about how her body tells her story. For men, that story often begins with something simple and instinctive. The harmony between the waist and the hips. It may sound biological, but in truth, it's something deeply human. Science has shown that in just a few seconds of seeing a woman, a man's brain subconsciously notices that balance as a signal of health, energy, and vitality. But don't get me wrong. What draws his attention isn't a measurement. It's the way you move, the way you walk, the quiet confidence that comes from being fully present in your own body. A woman is most magnetic when she slows down, stands tall, and doesn't try to hide herself. Because when your body moves in its natural rhythm, it sends a signal men can't ignore. This woman is at peace in her own skin. You don't need youth. You don't need perfection. You only need comfort, the ease that comes from accepting yourself as you are. I've seen women in their 60s trying to hide behind loose clothes, walking quickly so no one would notice them. And I've seen others who, simply by walking across a room, could make the whole place fall silent. Not because of flawless figures, but because every movement spoke of serenity, of quiet pride. This is me. I've lived, I've changed, I've carried time upon my body, and I am still alive. Men notice that, even if they never say a word, because deep down, we are drawn not to beauty that's been built, but to beauty that's been accepted. A confident walk, a soft posture, a steady stance. That's the mature kind of allure time can never take away. And if you're listening to this right now, try something small tomorrow. When you step outside, don't rush. Stand a little taller. Take a slow, deep breath. Walk with ease, not to be seen, but to simply be there. You might be surprised how people begin to look at you differently. Not because you've changed, but because you're finally present in your own body. That kind of beauty isn't found in the mirror. It's found in every step, every breath. And sometimes, that's all it takes for the world to turn its head again. If these words touch you, whisper this quietly to yourself. I choose to walk in my own confidence, because that's where every kind of beauty begins, in the harmony between your soul and your body. Because your eyes, even when tired, are the beginning of every connection, and sometimes they're where a man finds his way back to his own heart. If the eyes are where emotions live, then the hair is the witness of time. It holds the years you've walked through, the rushed mornings, the sleepless nights of worry, the windy seasons you've faced with quiet strength. For men, hair isn't just about looks. It's a sign of health, of self-care, of life still flowing. We don't pay attention to the color, or the thickness, or the style. But when we see a woman whose hair is neatly brushed, carrying a gentle scent, we understand something simple yet powerful. She still takes time for herself. And that, more than anything else, is deeply attractive. Hair, like a woman's spirit, needs tenderness. Time may make it thinner, lighter, or gray, but it also makes it truer, more real. Every silver strand is proof. You've lived, you've loved, you've endured, and you've kept going. When you no longer hide it, when you let it be as it is, you're quietly telling the world, I don't need to be anyone else to be beautiful. I once met a woman in her 70s at a small church gathering. Her hair was snow white, pulled softly behind her head, no fuss, no pretense. But when she smiled, the whole room seemed to glow. It wasn't the color of her hair that drew people in. It was the way she carried it, gracefully, confidently, with quiet pride. That day I realized real beauty isn't in black or silver. It's in the attitude of the one who wears it. Science tells us hair reflects inner health. When we eat well, rest, and live calmly, it shines. But there's something no science can measure: the energy of self-love. When you touch your hair each morning with gentleness, when you brush it not for others but to feel good in your own skin, that energy radiates, and people can feel it. So whether your hair is short or long, curled or tied back, let it carry the rhythm of real life. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be loved. And when you do that every day, you're sending the world a quiet message. I'm still here. I'm still beautiful in my own way. If you're listening to this now, try something small tonight. Stand before the mirror, run a comb gently through your hair, smile, and whisper, thank you for staying with me through the years. Sometimes that's all it takes to feel yourself shining again. Not with the light of youth, but with the glow that only comes from within. Because your eyes, even when tired, are the beginning of every connection, and sometimes they're where a man finds his way back to his own heart. If the eyes are where connection begins, then the lips are the doorway to emotion. Men, whether they admit it or not, always notice a woman's lips, not to judge, but to feel. Because lips don't just speak, they also hold the words that were never said. A slow smile, a quiet breath, a gentle press of the lips while listening. Each carries its own subtle message. It tells the person in front of you, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm alive. To a man, lips aren't merely about beauty. They're about presence and warmth. They reveal something deeper, that soft, human part of you that makes him feel at ease. Perhaps you no longer wear red lipstick like you once did. Perhaps the corners of your mouth have softened with time. It doesn't matter. Because men, once they've grown older too, no longer look for perfection. They look for genuine gentleness, a smile that comes from the heart. can still stop someone in their tracks, no matter how many years have passed. Science tells us that when we see a sincere smile, our brains release oxytocin, the hormone of trust and connection. That's why even the smallest, quietest smile can bring a sense of peace to those around you. No makeup can create that. No act can fake it. It's not the painted smile that touches hearts, but the real one. I once met a woman in her 60s, her face lined with years well lived. When she smiled, her lips trembled slightly, and her eyes lit up like morning light. In that moment, I understood. Beauty isn't in the shape of the lips, but in the emotion carried through them. A smile from someone who's been hurt, who's lost, and yet still chooses to love. That's the rarest beauty there is. So each morning, when you face the mirror, smile, even if only for a few seconds. Let your lips say what your heart sometimes forgets. I'm still here. I still know how to love. And I'm still soft enough to make the world stop for just a moment. And if these words bring even a small smile to your face, then say quietly to yourself, my smile is still beautiful because it's real. I'm still beautiful in my own way. If you're listening to this now, try something small tonight. Stand before the mirror, run a comb gently through your hair, smile, and whisper, thank you for staying with me through the years. Sometimes that's all it takes to feel yourself shining again. Not with the light of youth, but with the glow that only comes from within. Because your eyes, even when tired, are the beginning of every connection, and sometimes they're where a man finds his way back to his own heart. If the hair holds the memory of time, then the skin is the mirror of how you've lived. It doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be smooth like it once was in your 20s. It only needs to show life, care, and a quiet peace within every inch of it. Men, even if they never say it, notice these things. Not through makeup or color, but in a single glance. They sense whether your skin is healthy, whether it glows softly, whether it feels warm, alive. Because skin, more than anything else, is the truest part of us. It can't pretend. It can't hide. When a man brushes his hand against yours, what he feels isn't smoothness. It's the warmth of life. The quiet comfort of a woman who knows how to care for herself, who still knows how to love who she is. Science tells us that healthy skin reflects balance within. Good food, enough sleep, less worry, and a slower, gentler way of living. But there's something no research can measure: the tenderness carried in your skin. The skin of someone who has loved, who has held, who has soothed another's pain, has its own quiet kind of beauty. It's not dazzling, but it's warm, and that warmth is what draws people closer. Time may leave its traces. A few sunspots, fine lines around the neck, soft creases on the hands. But those are not flaws. They're proof that you've lived fully, worked hard, cared deeply, and loved truly. So don't try to hide your years. Love your skin in the simplest ways. A bit of lotion before bed, a few deep breaths before sleep, or a morning walk where the sunlight gently touches your face. Those small, quiet moments send the strongest message of all. I'm still alive. I still know how to care for myself. If you're listening now, place your hand on your cheek. Feel that warmth, feel that presence. Because no matter how much it changes, your skin is still telling the world one honest thing. I'm still here. I'm still me. I'm still beautiful in my own way. If you're listening to this now, try something small tonight. Stand before the mirror, run a comb gently through your hair, smile, and whisper, thank you for staying with me through the years. Sometimes that's all it takes to feel yourself shining again. Not with the light of youth, but with the glow that only comes from within. Because your eyes, even when tired, are the beginning of every connection, and sometimes they're where a man finds his way back to his own heart. There comes a time in life when we finally understand true beauty isn't in smooth skin, dark hair, or a youthful figure. It's in how we live, how we face ourselves, and how we make others feel when they're near us. Men, after enough years, stop looking for perfection. What they seek instead is peace. The peace of a woman whose eyes still listen, whose voice is calm and steady, whose smile no longer rushes, but carries warmth. Those are the moments that make them pause, not out of desire, but out of connection. Something real, something deep. And maybe that's the greatest gift of growing older. You no longer have to try to be loved. You simply know your presence is enough. So if you look in the mirror today and see lines that weren't there before, don't be saddened by them. They are the proof of a life truly lived. They tell stories of laughter, of tears, of love given and love lost, and the strength that kept you standing through it all. Beauty doesn't fade with time. It simply changes how it shines. And perhaps that gentle glow, the one born of grace and acceptance, is what truly makes others stop and look a little longer. If these words touch you, leave a quiet thought for yourself or whisper it softly. I'm still beautiful in my own way. Because once you believe that, the world will start to believe it too. Proof that you've lived fully, worked hard, cared deeply, and loved truly. So don't try to hide your years. Love your skin in the simplest ways. A bit of lotion before bed, a few deep breaths before sleep, or a morning walk where the sunlight gently touches your face. Those small, quiet moments send the strongest message of all. I'm still alive. I still know how to care for myself. If you're listening now, place your hand on your cheek. Feel that warmth, feel that presence. Because no matter how much it changes, your skin is still telling the world one honest thing. I'm still here. I'm still me. I'm still beautiful in my own way. If you're listening to this now, try something small tonight. Stand before the mirror, run a comb gently through your hair, smile, and whisper, "Thank you for staying with me through the years." Sometimes that's all it takes to feel yourself shining again. Not with the light of youth, but with the glow that only comes from within. Because your eyes, even when tired, are the beginning of every connection, and sometimes they're where a man finds his way back to his own heart.